Heroes and Legends, Dynasties 2. The forces of the Holy Emperor were going against the High Priest. However, as the Holy Knight prepared for war, and the Holy Emperor and his forces appeared at the temple, they were stunned to see a very unlikely force came. It is that of Hera and Morant, his tech captain. Hera Clincalow, screamed Hytash. What are you doing here? Hytash was ready for battle. However, Damain brushed him aside and wanted to hear Hera out. Hera explained that he had a force, but his son, Clincalow, who was a fellow Orisonnian, had also disappeared. He shared the same sorrow that Damain had, and he vowed for vengeance. Damain then took Hera's hand and shook it. My friend, we're on the same side. It has come time we end this treacherous high priest. Leonard looked on from a distance. Him and Kodak were a part of the ensemble, along with Ahad Minwin and Jonathan Vera and April, Damain's close friends. Les was completely impressed. Even the Clincalow has sided with us. Maybe of a chance here in this battle. For the Holy Knights themselves, they had, of course, Patterson, the High Priest, Branson, Derek, Branson's brother, Seymour and Destiny, Thurston, the zealous newspaper, but Paul, a loyal officer and follower of Patterson, Adelaide, the man responsible for training, and the honorary knights that came from the various insurance and bank Info, the orb warrior, who was a part of the Guardian, Jordan, the head of the elders of the Baja Banker, and the arrogant jerk, but a capable fire bishop of the Commonwealth. The sides were split. The war was about to begin. In the northwest, Hytash and Damain II, along with Ahad Minwin, launched their attack. In the southwest, we had both Jonathan, Vera, and April launching their attack as well. In the south, it was split between the Clincalow forces and the Josica. Clincalow offered to stay and remain on the outside and did not breach the perimeters that they were invading. Moran suggested that they would stay and watch their backs. The rear guard was pretty important. They didn't want any one of their old enemies taking advantage of this disparity, and so they watched the Emperor's back. Hytash was very impressed. Les was thankful. As they got through and find the rooks and everyone else that was a part of the Holy Knights, Patterson was in his temple, summoning up prayers to strengthen his forces. However, the Holy Emperor himself was there, and he somehow cancelled his prayers. Patterson was furious. You bastard, I'll make you pay for that. Soon, the outer perimeter gates, the north, west, southwest, and the south were breached. The time has now come, men. Let us go to the enemy camp, bombard them, and find and take Patterson's head. Forward! My lord, be careful, said Hytash. This is the enemy stronghold we're after. The young Pinta warriors faced off against Info and his orbs. He hasn't fought in so long. You two young bucks. I remember when all of us was on the same side. However, things have changed. Now, you oppose righteousness. Why do you fight for those Orisonnians? Why? Jonathan was beating back some of the orbs. April was dodging up. These elves are pretty. And you're such a pretty boy. Why don't you join us? But then again, it is not my place to do so. Not your place to do so what? Info asked. Then Jonathan went for a sneak attack. Info was almost caught slipping. To the south, both Les and Cordet advanced. Strachan used his two blades, Cordet used her blaster. Against the forces of Thurston, the newspaper rep. A newspaper rep? Most impressive. But why? Why do you resist the Holy Emperor? Don't you see Patterson is wrong? And then Thurston was like, you fools. I serve the high priest, not the Holy Emperor. There's the fine line between us. If you're too blind to see it, then you are indeed on the opposite side of history. Les was determined to prove him wrong. But on the northwest, we had that of Derek, Branson's brother. I hear a fight from my brother. I will not allow you to get by any further. Ah, it seems you want to die early, young man. But no, we're not after you all. We're after Patterson. Step aside, said Hatesh. Ahad Minwin was blasting through the enemy as they advanced. The holy mechs and the holy tanks were to the front lines as well. Push the enemy back, Branson commanded. And then the war continued. Damain was using his sword and then using his tomes to fight and performing his ultimate special and fighting with his hands. He could have nuked the whole area, but he was encouraged by Leonard to let the Holy Knights live. It's only Patterson they were after, so Damain had to hold back his fury. Seeing that, the Bankeron elders began their attack. Those of Jordan and Bishop, to ambush the Holy Emperor. My lord, it's an ambush. Let me handle them, said Hatesh. No, you handle Derek. I'll handle these stupid fools. Come forth. I will end you myself. Damain was furious and summoned two long broadswords, each one for both men. Bishop, the ever arrogant one. Ha! You're holding back, Emperor. It seems your high and mighty days are over. A new regime is about to take over. The elders are fully united. We don't need you and your ilk anymore. Step aside. And then Jordan of the Bar was saying, it seems not all of your elder forces could join you in this fight. It seems the elders are split on who to join. Why don't you just resign and step down? You have sided and been in bed with the enemy for too long. Please, for the sake of peace, shut it, said Damain. I don't need you to talk about peace or anything else. Take these swords and break. Damain used his broadswords selectively and precisely, injuring them but not enough to kill them. The two Bankeron elders were completely overwhelmed by the might of the Holy Emperor. They were arrogant and cocky. They knew they stood no chance. The first perimeter, the inner perimeter, was breached. In it, they would now face off against Adderley and Paul. These two were strong. Adderley was a man that trained the people, and Paul was a loyal follower. The time had now come that to show our loyalty and love come forth, men of the Holy Knights. But Paul and Adderley were rallying the people. Come on, my trained soldiers, do not be afraid of them. Forward. Strachan and Ahad, Ahad Minwin, Hatesh, the Holy Emperor himself, Jonathan and April all regrouped, as Info was completely defeated, as his oars were broken, and he was tied up. Now the combined forces now face two of the most staunch and loyal of the Holy Knights. As I said, Fighting was everywhere. Each side was giving it their all. However, the forces of the Empire, much stronger, less strong, let loose, using the sword of Utopia and the blue ward sword. No one could break his defense, and his attack was especially deadly. And Ahad Minwin flew in the sky, destroying the enemy mechs as he went along. And of course, the Holy Emperor was holding back his power. Three major powerhouses in the front lines. These two holy knights were determined, however, they stood no chance. Their forces succumbed. It was a fork in the road between north and south, heading up the mountain where Patterson's temple was. And so the Allied forces split up. One went to the north, where they had to deal with Seymour. The other went to the south, where they had to deal with Destiny. The northern force consisted of Damain, Ahad Minwin, and Jonathan. The southern forces consisted of Cadet Wilson, Les Strawn, and April. Ah, April, said Cadet. I see you making inroads and reconnecting your friendship with Damian. Now that her queen is gone, would you put yourself next in line? Let's try to shut her down. Cadet, it's not your place to say just things. But April's face was blushing a little bit. She secretly had a crush on our Lord and Master. However, because he fell in love with Catherine, and Catherine is much more beautiful and more powerful than her, she held back her feelings. However, Goddess' words had reunited them. April then shut it off and said, there's no need to worry. We're good friends. I just want to make sure he's happy. But for now, once we defeat these traitors, everything will be alright. Then Destiny appeared, her giant form, and was fighting. You, all of you are not my enemy. I never wanted this to happen. I never wanted Seymour to do what he did. I never expected a high priest to do what he did. However, I have a duty that I must do. April completely understood. Sometimes we are forced to do things that we ourselves are uncomfortable with. However, that doesn't mean that we should abandon our morals. Destiny, you of all people should understand that. Destiny then was silent awkwardly as she contemplated April's words. At the north, the arrogant and prideful Seymour, the last warrior of the Demoscostical and proud knight, was facing against Jonathan. The other three warriors had moved on ahead further north, as Seymour was not worth their time. They're going after Branson and his cavalry. Jonathan was like, yeah. His spear clashed with Seymour's axes. Damn you, Jonathan, said Seymour. The two separated from each other. Jonathan was like, why are you mad at me, Seymour? You're the murderer. Once we solve this debacle, I hope you wait for the consequences. Seymour's like, the Orisonnians are gone forever. I'm sure that His Holy Majesty, our holy and true high priest, the true leader of the elders, make sure of that. Come, I'm not so easily persuaded. Fight me. Jonathan then answered Seymour's challenge. The two of them square off. Jonathan was blocking Seymour's attacks. Seymour was trying desperately to hit Jonathan, but Jonathan was too skilled, and he was able to use his spear to disarm Seymour. Seymour collapsed on his back, and Jonathan pointed his spear at Seymour's throat. Seymour raised his hands up and said, Oi, we're all elders. We shouldn't kill one another. Jonathan laughed and said, a few moments ago you were confident enough that you was going to kill me. If the shoe was on the other foot, would you spare my life? Seymour was sweating. While that was happening, the cavalry forces were bombarding the main commanders of the Empire. Damain used his stones as shields to block the horses. Ahad Minwin turned back to normal and was fighting regularly. Patterson was using his blasters to blast against the cavalry. Patterson was coming down. He was a strong warrior and the number 2 of the Holy Knights. I will slay you, Damain. My master and friend commands it. Slay me? Patterson is indeed a traitor. He wants my head and my position. Very well. I'm not going to hold back at you. And so Damain summoned a big, huge, giant missile and used the missile to fire upon the cavalry forces. Branson couldn't believe it. The cavalry forces tried to run away. Branson tried to use the Holy Matchboy attack to block the blast. The blast was epic. Damain used his tombs to defend his allies against the blast that he had created. The cavalry forces were decimated. Branson remained. Damain then took his sword and went to race after Branson. Branson got off his now dead horse and the two began to square off. Elsewhere in the south, Claudette and Lestrade were moving forward, as April and Destiny still were at it. They moved up the mountain, getting past enemy troops, and saw the temple in view. Claudette said she would volunteer to stay behind, as she knew Patterson was a strong warrior. Les, you go. You're the strongest of all of Angelica. You will represent us. Ah, Claudette, what's wrong? You're scared? I'm not scared, I'm cautious, and I know my place. Now go. And so Lestrade used his swords and began to twirl rapidly like a spinning top, slicing down holy bishops and holy rooks and pawns as he made his way to the temple main grounds. He was the first to reach. Ahad Minwin advanced forward to the temple grounds as Hattesh stayed and guarded Damain's rear and volunteered to stay behind. Damain and Branson were still fighting. Branson saw Ahad Minwin trying to advance, and so Branson took up his spear and started throwing like a javelin. Ahad Minwin then took his sword and slashed the spear down before it could penetrate him. Damain took the chance and slew Branson. Branson had fallen, failing in his mission for his friend. And now Damain II was also at the temple grounds. Damain II, Ahad Minwin, Lestrade, 3 of the strongest men in the empire today, now faced off against the holy high priest himself, Patterson. Patterson from his tower was launching his golden arrows and teleporting and using fire to disorient the 3 men as troops surrounded them. Damain said, "Do not fear. These are not parlor tricks." The high priest, "No. Patterson stands no chance against me." Damain flew up directly to the high priest. Lestrade and Ahab went to finish off the remaining troops before they too climbed their way to the tower. The 2 men faced off. Patterson was the first to speak. "Your Holy Majesty, you have arrived with blood on your sword. You're not only a devil worshipper, and one that sleeps with devils, but you're also a murderer." "Huh, you want to talk?" Damain rebutted. "Haven't seen more killed." "Portia," was the sly move. "I did no such thing. He had a duty to fulfill, and I gave him the opportunity. He could have chosen not to take it. But then again, Portia might have been here with you all, causing trouble. I'm impressed you've gotten this far. However, you don't stand a chance against me." Patterson then teleported and used powerful attacks against Damain. Damain was caught off guard and pushed down to the ground. It was then that Lestrade and Ahad Minwin took their swords and launched at the high priest. The high priest put a shield around him and pushed the men back. Completely stunned, Ahad Minwin went prime and began to duke it out with Patterson. However, Patterson blocked all of Ahad Minwin's attacks, locked his arms with his arms, and did a side kick at Ahad's chest. Ahad was completely pushed back. Leonard then tried to blast an Josican blast using the sword of Utopia, but Patterson then simply blocked the attack until the blast withered away. Damain then used his ultimate special, but had little to no effect on Patterson. Damain too was pushed back. Damn, he's strong, said Ahad Minwin. This high piece is high and mighty indeed, said Leonard. Man, we must work together in tandem to defeat this evil. Follow my lead, said Damain. The three men powered up and began to handle Patterson 3-on-1. Patterson's powers was indeed impressive, but he was small of a one-on-one fighter. Having a 3-on-1 he was not used to, so he did a lot of blocking and defending. He moved quickly and slightly to launch his ultimate attacks, holy matrimonies, golden holy matrimonies, ultimate golden holy matrimony, and his golden arrows, what he's most famous for. Leonard used the blue ward sword to its maximum in defense, blocking these powerful attacks. Ahad Minwin was doing likewise, and he was blocking. Damain used his tomes to block as well. The three men returned the favor with their own attacks and pushing Patterson back. It seems that you lot have realized that working together may give you an edge. However, I am blessed by a divine heaven. You cannot stop me. And then all of a sudden, a giant golden arrow appeared from the heavens. It was going to land on top of them. Ahad Minwin was like, oh my, I can't allow this to happen. So he powered up and flew and tried to hold back the arrow. Damain then used one of his tomes to do likewise, but it was less strong, using his ultimate attack. Utopia Blast! From the sword of Utopia and the blue ward sword respectively, which destroyed the arrow. The destruction of the arrow caused Patterson to stumble. He used a lot of his powers to summon that arrow. He was dazed and confused. Leonard saw an opening. My lord, now! And then Leonard went for the attack. Patterson blocked him. Ahad Minwin blasted Patterson from behind, from the sky. He took the hits and was disoriented. It was Damain who went for the kill. He summoned the most powerful sword, infused with the powers of all his weapons, and was able to finally penetrate Patterson's strong barriers and stabbed him on the side. It was a fatal blow. Leonard couldn't believe it. No, my lord! And then he let go of his swords and picked up Patterson, who was dying. Ahad Minwin asked Les, what are you doing? And Damain took his sword out of Patterson. I understand this. You never agreed to this battle, but I thank you for your assistance. Patterson, let Catherine and the Orisonnians go. I know you have them trapped somewhere. They are not fully dead. Leonard couldn't believe it as he looked at Patterson's dying body. What? Patterson was coughing up blood at this point. It was God that allowed me to do this. It was he that, before Patterson could finish, a portal of strange origins was appearing. This portal was filled with dark energy, almost like an abyss, appeared. Patterson looked at the portal and saw that the figure that told him to do so was there. He told me to. This energy, coughing up blood. No, how could I be so blind? It wasn't the Father after all. I was fooled. My lord. Patterson then tried to lift his hand up, and Leonard grabbed it and tried to hold him up. Patterson, Save your energy, please. Ahad Minwin was concerned. Could this mean that Patterson was manipulated? Damain was only even more furious than before. Damn it. Damn you, Patterson. So whoever's behind this poll is behind all of this. The answers I seek is through there. Let's go. Damain walked forward without looking at Patterson anymore. Ahad Minwin stood there looking at Les as Patterson let his last grasp of air and passed away. The high priest was dead. So many questions both men had, but the answers were through the portal. Les then closed Patterson's eyes and laid him gently on the grass. The two men followed their lord. The secret behind Patterson's misery and suffering, and the true mastermind behind the Orisonnians' disappearance, and all this confusion lay ahead. What will our three heroes discover? The mystery was about to be solved.